welcome back to another video, guys. Now that's right, today we're back for my end of the month watches. These are going to be all the films that I watched for the first time throughout the month of May. So I don't do rewatches here, or else I'd be here for ages, because I do rewatch a lot of things as well as watch new things. But today I'm just going to be talking about films that I watched for the first time. They were first time viewings for me throughout the month of May. So just going to do the usual, going to go over all of them. There's not loads here this month compared to other months. I think there's 20. Normally I hit 30 or 35. So I've actually been a bit slower this month. I think there's been a lot of TV and there's a lot of TV shows coming up for the next couple months. So this might be a reoccurring thing for the next 2-3 months. I don't know, we'll see. But before we crack on, I do want to say a huge thank you because I've been putting a lot of effort in the last week or two expanding the Movie Bug Facebook page. It's one of the only things which I haven't been the best with. Like the YouTube channel, you know, you guys know me, I upload weekly. Instagram, I'm constantly on Instagram, giving you guys updates on the channel and just things in the movie industry in general. Like if I see a bit of news, I'll share it on my story and stuff. But the Facebook page is something which I haven't been great at. Really been pushing that the last couple of weeks, really been trying to get into it. And it's grown by like 30 people in a week, which is crazy. So, guys, thank you so much for going over to the Facebook page and joining. There's loads of people sharing what they're watching, some pickups, their videos. And it's great. It's great that people are interactive over there and everyone's friendly in the comments and stuff. So, yeah, that's fantastic. And I'm really happy about that. So, a big thank you to everyone. But anyway, let's crack on with the movies now. So, I'm going to just sort of scooch on over here like this, so we can see the lovely movie posters as we talk about the films. And the first film up I watched throughout the month of May was Singing in the Rain. Now, I was lucky enough to pick up the Warner Brothers box set for, was it the 70th or the 80th anniversary? It was the 70th, wasn't it? And I picked it up when I went to Bournemouth to visit the wonderful Jamie Powell. I was also there with Justin from Blue Justin and Kermit from Kermit's Ghost. So yeah, there was loads of so many great things there. Great people, had a fantastic meet up. Anyway, picked the box set up. I watched it outside on my cinema screen, so it was on like a 80-90 inch screen, and it was amazing. It was so good. I think that definitely enhanced my experience of watching this movie. Even though it was a great film, but I think I enjoyed it a little bit more because of how I watched it. You can never beat a cinema-like experience, or the cinema experience. But of course, when you're at home, that's as close as I could get to it. But it's such a great experience watching it, and it's fantastic. It was a brilliant movie. The songs, of course, are timeless. I already knew half of them going into it. I'm a big musical guy, as people know. The actors were all fantastic in it, and yeah, I really, you know, they kind of play a lot of this woman's voice, how, you know, oh, well, you know, she can't do the talking bits because her voice is too much for some people. And I found all that kind of stuff quite charming for this older movie. And yeah, I think that's a good way to describe the film. I thought it was just charming. It looked fantastic, and all the actors doing a great job. Yeah, I'm going to give Singing in the Rain an 8.5 out of 10. Then we have Choose or Die, the new Netflix film, which I watched purely for the lead guy in it, who's from Sex Education. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's a really good actor. He's in Hugo as well, the Martin Scorsese movie. He's been in a few things. He was in the running for Spider-Man as well. And I really like him as an actor. And also Eddie Marsan pops up in this film for a little bit, who I really like. Had the honour of meeting him a couple years back. And this movie is fucking terrible. It is so bad. I literally could not wait for it to end. The premise of the film was kind of interesting, but they just do not run with it well at all. There's no likeable characters. There's barely any suspense. And when characters do get killed off, it feels very unearned, very flat, very meh. I just don't really have anything good to say about this film. It's truly one of the worst Netflix films I've seen. I wouldn't quite say the worst Netflix film I've seen, but it's up there. It really is. It's honestly it probably cracked my top 10 Netflix films, which is saying a lot because there's a lot of really bad Netflix films. I'm going to give this film a 2.5 out of 10. Then we have Jason and the Argonauts. I think I'm saying that right. I bought this one in the premium collection, and I picked this one up because I think it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And even though this film was made before Clash of the Titans, because I've seen the original Clash of the Titans and the 2 remakes quite a few times, weirdly. Because, especially the remakes, they're not the best films. I got serious vibes from that. And do you know what? The effects for the time, because when this one came out, 1963, the effects were amazing for the time. Like, until 2001 came out, 5 years later, I would have said this is the best effects I've seen from a 60s movie. It looked incredible at times. And the story was quite captivating. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of cool characters. The premise of the story was good. And yeah, I enjoyed all the performances and stuff. It was a good movie. I didn't love it. The 100% on Rotten Tomatoes is a little bit confusing to me. If it's still at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, it might not be anymore, because I did buy this film about 3 years ago. It's one of those films that has sat on my shelf for a while, and it's taken me a while to get around to watching. But yeah, it's good. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Then we have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I'm going to be brief on this one because I saw it in the cinema. And when I come out of the cinema, I was quite good with myself. I was realistic. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. And I was aware that I liked the film, but I was very disappointed. And the more I think about this movie, I hate to say it, because I love Marvel, I love the MCU, I love Doctor Strange. But the more I think about this film, the more I don't want to say dislike, because that seems like I'm being overly negative, but the more problems I have with the movie. I think it's a good movie, it's fun, but there isn't really much of a multiverse of madness. We only go to one other place, really. The pacing is pretty awful throughout the majority of the movie. I think character development also isn't great. Like, you're obviously connected to Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch because of previous movies, but a lot of the new characters you really don't care about. Yeah, it's fun. The effects are great. The returning characters are really cool. Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch themselves are amazing. Two of my favourite Marvel characters now. There's a lot of good things about this movie. Sam Raimi is fantastic behind the camera. The score is really good. But there's some very disappointing aspects towards this movie. I'm going to give this film I'll stick with a 7. I nearly went down to a 6.5, but I'm going to stick with a 7. But it's close to moving down. Then we have another film which I reviewed here in detail on the channel, so I'll be quick here again. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Weirdly, another multiverse movie. And now my favourite A24 film, my favourite multiverse movie. Everything Everywhere All at Once was freaking amazing. I cannot describe to you what the plot was, because it was so brilliantly, mind-bogglingly weird. But it did strangely all make sense at the same time. Everything about this film is to the highest degree of filmmaking. It is bonkers, and I love this film so much. It is just fantastic. For the concept, they really run with it, and this feels more like, yeah, this is like a multiverse of madness here. We've seen so many different versions and weird mental things in this film. The acting is incredible. The score is brilliant. The cinematography is fantastic. I have yet to hear anyone criticise this film. And if anyone did criticise this film, I'd be very curious to see how you could criticise it, because it is truly brilliant. I have absolutely no complaints with it. I can't believe I'm doing this, because it's so rare I do it, but to me it's perfect. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Then we have The Contractor. So, Chris Pine has had a couple of films out on streaming service the last month. This was one of them, and my God, I was so bored. I was so bored. I forget, one of them's on Prime and one's on Netflix, I think. I don't even know how to describe. The only thing I remember thinking was Chris Pine's decent in it. That's, honest to God, the only thing. The rest of the film, I was just truly bored out my brain. I've got nothing to say on this film, if I'm being honest. I barely remember it. So, for that reason alone, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10. Then we have Waves. Yep, so, Josh, classic tunes, if you're watching. I finally did it. I watched Waves, because I know that's one of your favourite films. And yeah, I mainly watch this one because I come out of Everything Everywhere All at Once. I want to see more A24. I've seen a handful of A24 films. I think I've seen 15 or so, and I love A24. For the most part, they're really good movies. And yeah, I was ready for more. And I'd had a few people message me saying that Waves was on Netflix, so went ahead and watched it. And yeah, it's a fantastic film. It feels like there's two halves to this film. And the first half was fascinating. You start off with a character that you like, and then you grow to dislike this character passionately. And then the second part of the movie is all about sort of clearing that mess up for other characters, and it's beautifully told. The emotions in this film are fantastic. I think the how characters bounce off each other is just incredible. Some fantastic performances in this movie as well. I wasn't on board with all of the song choices, but there was some really good moments in here for sure, and the cinematography was gorgeous. I'm going to give Waves an 8.5 out of 10. Then we have All the Old Knives, which is the other Chris Pine film I saw. This one also has Thandie Newton in. This was better than The Contractor, but still not great. I mean, it was interesting, and I think the final act of the film was really good. I kind of liked the whole, the movie makes it look like someone was the bad guy, and you're like, oh, I think I've got it. And you sort of get it at the same time as the characters. And then they sort of put the bad guy out, but then it turns out that he wasn't actually the bad guy. And there's a cool little twist like that. I don't really know how else to describe it, to be honest. But that was kind of cool. And there are some interesting aspects to it. I like the flashbacks and stuff. Chris Pine and Thandie Newton are both fantastic in it. Big surprise. They're the best things about this film. But yeah, I don't have loads to say about it. Again, it is what it is. Chris Pine, I know that he's sitting at home waiting for that call about Star Trek or Wonder Woman 3, if they can even write him into a third Wonder Woman film, because let's face it, he was the way they wrote him into the second Wonder Woman film was pretty awful. So yeah, I'll give this film a 5 out of 10, very average. Then we have the I can never say this one. The Beagle-Eyed, I think is how you say it, a Clint Eastwood movie. I went into this one thinking it was going to be a very average Clint Eastwood movie. It's not one in my box that people had recommended to me. It's not one that stuck out to me too much, like, oh, I can't wait to get to that one. My God, I loved this movie. I thought this was great. And I looked online, and it is sort of one of those that gets forgotten about with Clint Eastwood. But then again, it did get a remake in 2017 with Colin Farrell, so maybe it does have a fan base. I don't know, but I watched it and I had a brilliant time with this. I really, really loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. I love the whole dynamic of there's these 3 different women in the house that are all like, they don't see men very often. It's a girls' private school, and there's a soldier that's brought in, and all 3 of these women that we spend time with all latch onto him, and there's a really interesting dynamic. And yeah, there's a couple real tension moments, like when some guards show up at the house, and when Clint Eastwood sort of gets pushed down the stairs, and he's sort of thinking that they've it's something that happened to him, and he's sort of thinking that they've done this to him on purpose. There's really, really great character work in this movie, and fantastic acting. I had a great time with this movie, and I'm sure the remake won't be as good, but I really do want to see the remake as well now. So yeah, I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. Really good film. Then we have The Bad Guys, a new animated film, which I didn't really have much interest in, but I've heard a lot of people say that it was quite good, so I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I gotta say, it was quite good. Very simple premise, but it's aimed at younger audiences. But it was a fun time. I really liked the animation style to it. It felt very different to a lot of animation that we see coming out nowadays, which I liked. The character work was really good. The voice acting was brilliant. Sam Rockwell is great. He's truly one of my favourite actors. He's fantastic. So yeah, I thought the pacing was good. It seemed like the right length. The music choices were good. They were fun. I don't really have anything too bad to say about this film, to be honest. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. Then we have The Intern. This was just one of those films. I was having dinner. I put it on as it was starting. I was on the TV, and I ended up watching the whole thing. I love Robert De Niro, and I love Anne Hathaway, and I think there's a really good film in here, actually, I do. I think their dynamics flow really well off each other, and I think the concept and the idea of this movie is quite interesting as well. But in the end, it's just an okay film for me. It is what it is. It kind of feels like one of those Robert De Niro films where I want to say it's one of those Robert De Niro films where he just needs a paycheck, like was it The War with Grandpa or something? But I don't know. I feel like you got Anne Hathaway here as well. I feel like there was probably, you know, quite a lot of excitement around this film when it came out, but it didn't really do loads for me. It is what it is. It's fine. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. Then we have Joe Kidd, another Clint Eastwood film, which I watched quite quickly after The Beagle Eyed because I loved that film. And yeah, then this film here disappointed me. This was one of Clint Eastwood's most boring films. He went back to a Western, and yeah, there's just not much happening here that interested me personally. I struggled to get through this one a little bit, but yeah, it is what it is. I don't have loads to say about it, to be honest. I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. And we have The Father, which has been sent to me by 2 people now. So I thought it was about time I watched it. And there's a lot of people who told me to watch it. My good friend Ryan has been trying to get me to watch it for a while because he knows that, getting a little bit personal here, I have a nan who's in the very late stages at the minute of dementia. So I'm very aware of what people, you know, what people with dementia kind of act like. And I like to think I'm good at speaking to people with dementia because of my nan. So this film, it hit me like a train. It really did emotionally. I really connected with this movie. And it sort of brought back memories to what my nan was sort of like a year or so ago, when she was sort of like Anthony Hopkins' character in this. She was sort of at his sort of stage. And it's heartbreaking to watch. And not necessarily for him, but for the people around. And Olivia Colman does such a fantastic job in this movie. She made me tear up a couple of times. But Anthony Hopkins was brilliant. I think he fully deserved the Best Actor win for this. And in fact, I think this film probably deserved the Best Picture win over Nomadland. But hey ho, here we go. I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10. I thought it was really, really brilliant. Then we have Dark Blue, which is another one of those films which I've sort of had sitting on my collection wall for a while, in the Arrow video range this time. And I've finally got to crack into this and open it. Or watch it, sorry, it already opened. Starring Mr. Kurt Russell, of course. And this film was quite good, you know. It had, you know, very early 2000 vibes to it. It feels like a product of its time, definitely. But, you know, it had those dynamics which were really good. And I thought the last act of the film was really good. There was actually a couple surprises in it, which I thought was good. But yeah, you know, I don't have loads to say on this one. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. And we have Resident Evil Extinction, and I'm struggling with these movies. Like, I said I'm going to get through all the Resident Evil films, but in a minute I'm wondering how I'm going to do it, because the first one was okay, but the second one was shite, and now this one's been shite. I just don't like these movies so far, really. They're not doing anything for me. The settings are kind of dull and boring. The acting is not good. The music choices are bad. The action scenes aren't well shot. The zombies aren't scary. I'm just not digging these films. I give this film a 3.5 out of 10. Then, where we are, then I watched Mad Max. Now, a little bit of cheating here. I have watched Mad Max and Mad Max The Road Warrior, the original 2. I've seen Fury Road many times, but the originals, I've seen the first 2, but when I was so young, so I can't really remember them. So I've sort of cheated a bit here, because it just felt like a first time watch, because it had been so long. And I did really, really enjoy this movie. I forgot about the twist at the end, or the shocking death, the way the film kind of ends. So I'm really excited to watch the second one, because I hear it's the best one. I thought the build-up to see Mad Max at the start was great. There was the cinematography was really good. The score was good as well. Tension building was fantastic throughout this one. Yeah, I'm excited to see where we go from here. I wasn't as apocalyptic as I thought it was going to be, but it's an older film, of course, and you know, maybe it is a build-up to get to the apocalyptic world that I've seen in Fury Road. But yeah, Mad Max was fantastic. I'm going to give this film a 7.5 out of 10. Then we have Senior Year, the new Rebel Wilson movie. Fair play to Rebel Wilson for losing all the weight. She's looking fantastic in this movie. But I'll say this. I know some people don't like Rebel Wilson. I've never minded her too much. Because most films I see her in, she's always a side character. I think she works quite well in comedy movies as a side character. Because she can be funny, I think. Now, when she's doing the leading role, though, I must admit, she got on my nerves a bit in this one. And the first 20 minutes of this film is set, like, 20 years before this film starts, with a younger actress who was in Spider-Man, the Spider-Man film. She plays the Ned's girlfriend in the second one, and she's also the daughter in Nice Guys. Really good actress, actually. When it was with her, when it was with the younger version, the film was a lot better. I was somewhat interested. It was watchable. Now it does the time jump where she goes into a coma and she wakes up as I just said her name. What's her name? My God, I swear, my brain sometimes, it just switches off. Well, it does a jump forward to the actress who's all over the posters, whose name I've forgotten already somehow. And the film just sucks from there on out. It's really uninteresting. The acting's not good. Everything about the film is irritating. It is the most generic, boring, fluffy shit I've seen. It gave me proper Kissing Booth vibes. I'm going to give this film a 1.5 out of 10. Yeah, truly, truly terrible movie. Then we have Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. What the hell? I thought this film was going to be terrible and it wasn't. It was really, really fun at times and quite clever. It was so much better than the Space Jam film that came out. It was honestly almost as good as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because, you know, it's that style of filmmaking. And, yeah, there's some really, really funny moments to it. I don't want to spoil too much for it, because I want to encourage people to actually give this film a chance. But there's a couple real shocking things in it, like Ugly Sonic from the first Sonic trailer is in this movie. I couldn't believe it. The voice acting's really good as well. J.K. Simmons voice acts in this, and he's brilliant. There's a couple celebrity cameos as well. Yeah, I don't want to say too much about this movie, but I had a lot of fun with it. The cameos were handled really well. The story was actually interesting, and the pacing was good. And the animation, all the different animation styles, fantastic to do all that in one film. I'm going to give this film a 7.5 out of 10. I watched Boogie Nights, which was sent to me by the wonderful Alex Pitt, Paul Thomas Anderson film I hadn't seen, and this is now my favourite Paul Thomas Anderson film. This film was fantastic. The first off, you know, I love the 70s, I think, isn't it? 60s, 70s? Well, I love the 60s, 70s, my favourite period of time. Love that. Love the vibe with the costumes and stuff, and all the old cars and stuff, and the music that's playing throughout this movie. Fantastic. The cinematography is great. The acting is brilliant. One of Mark Wahlberg's best performances. Philip Seymour Hoffman's fantastic in this film as well. Julianne Moore is also great. Just so many fantastic things in this movie. I can't praise it enough, to be honest. It's the pacing's great as well. It's a long film, but it doesn't feel too long either. It feels kind of just right. I'm going to give this film a 9 out of 10. I thought it was truly, truly fantastic. We got Top Gun Maverick, which I'm also going to go quite quick on because I've done a full review on it. Not the biggest fan of the original Top Gun. I like it, but I don't have the nostalgia for it. And the trailers for this one kind of just looked average, but what the hell, this film was great. So many surprises in it, so many. Tom Cruise gives one of his best performances. The scenes, the shots in the actual jet cockpit itself were fantastic. I felt like I was being thrown about as well in there. The music choices were great. You know, the new Lady Gaga one, and of course Highway to the Danger Zone again. Great song. Yeah, just a lot of great elements to this movie, I think. And the third act is so much fun. Couple little silly moments, but really good fun. Gonna give this film an 8.5 out of 10 still. Then we have Menari, which I finally watched as well, another 2020 film, which reminded me so much of Nomadland, about this, you know, very slow-paced building film about just a sort of a day in the life of this family that's immigrated over to America to try and start a business and live there. And it's a beautiful film. There's some real great moments there. It's a real family movie, and yeah, it's the pacing is a little bit off for me. It feels a bit like Nomadland, where it's like it does slog a little bit sometimes, but it's really great in terms of the acting and stuff. The script is so tight, it's brilliant. Stephen Yeun does a brilliant performance in this movie. So there's definitely a lot of great things about it. I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. And the last film I watched is All the President's Men, which is a premium I've had here for a while. And apparently I'm going to be quite controversial on this one because I was watching it and I was so bored. I didn't think there was anything too special about this film. The score was average. The cinematography was kind of average. The acting, Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman were great, but other than them, there wasn't anything there that was sticking out to me. I thought it was all kind of just very, yeah, it's just okay. It's just really slow. I look online, it's got like a 4.1 on Letterboxd, so go figure. But for me, it was just a real slog, real meh film. I'll give it 6.5 though, because I definitely did enjoy it. But yeah, just not as much as everyone else apparently. So we got to pick a film of the month, and you guys probably know what it's going to be because I gave it a 10 out of 10 out, and I feel like I've got to stick by it. But I want to give a shout out to Boogie Nights. So Boogie Nights and The Father. Boogie Nights and The Father are very close seconds. But Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to be my film of the month. Just mind blown. It blew my mind. I can't praise this film enough. It was just mental. And it's the most unique film I've ever seen at the cinema. One of the most unique films in general I've ever seen. So yeah. But anyway, there we go. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Like the video, leave a message. And as always, I'll see you next time for another video.